Hey everyone, and welcome to this Mach-E video. I drove a 2018 Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive for almost 3 years and put 50,000 miles on it, so I'd like to think I kinda know what it feels like to drive an electric car. I started reading about the Mach-E a little while ago, and when the used car prices went up significantly, I got a really good deal to sell my Model 3. Since the Mach-E still qualified for the $7,500 tax credit, I thought I'd give it a try. When I picked the car up at the dealer and went for my first drive, I was a little bit underwhelmed. The car didn't feel as fast as it looked on paper, and I had no idea what I was doing wrong. I knew from driving the Tesla that the electric car usually needed a little bit of time to warm up and get the battery to optimum operating temperature. However, somehow that didn't really apply to the Mach-E. No matter how much I drove, it didn't really feel a lot faster than when I picked it up. I texted the seller at the dealership and asked him about these bars that I saw in my acceleration indicator. He had no idea what it was and got back to me a few days later that everybody was stumped and they didn't know how to answer my question. So I started digging around and looked on the website, and eventually I found a comment that the Mach-E cuts off acceleration after 5 seconds. Ford doesn't say this on their website, but when you accelerate hard for 5 seconds or more, the car slowly starts taking away power. I guess that explains some of the experience that I had, but not all of it, so let me show you what I mean. Just so we're all on the same page and know what we're supposed to expect, it's 480 horsepower, and the GT Non-Performance Edition, which I have, is supposed to take 3.8 seconds to get to 60. I didn't prepare in any special way, I didn't precondition the car, I just got in my car, put in my race timer, and went for a 0 to 60 run down the street. You should be able to see that the 0 to 60 time is 5.7 seconds, which is 2 seconds slower almost than what it was supposed to be. So what had happened? When I got in the car and turned it on, I saw that there were the prison bars, which I hate to see in my acceleration display. Bottom left, gray bars. About a third less acceleration. The car was showing -4 Celsius, which is equivalent to about 25 F. Quick side note, I'm German and I moved here 5 years ago, and while I love living here, I just still can't get used to using Fahrenheit, so that's why it's in Celsius. Now you might be thinking, you gotta give the car time to warm up, it's cold outside and the battery has to get to its operating temperature. Well, I took the car for a drive for about 30 minutes, and as you can see, the temperature had actually dropped slightly, but we still had the same number of bars. There was no improvement. So how is it possible to improve this? Well, technically there's only one way. You have to set your car to precondition for the time that you want to take it for a ride. If you know the time that you'll be leaving, and if you have a regular schedule, then this shouldn't be too much of a problem. As long as the car is plugged in, it prepares for 30 minutes in advance, and when you get in, the battery is preconditioned, the cabin is heated, and you're good to go. This is what the prison bars looked like after the car had been able to precondition. It was significantly less, and it was still an outside temperature of -8C or 17F. The results of my 0 to 60, or in this case 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, were also much better. Note that it was still 0.7 seconds off of what the Mach-E is supposed to be capable of. So I thought to myself, no problem, I'll just do it like in the Tesla. I'll turn on the car before I leave using the remote start function in the app. Well, and if you are afraid of being cold, then this is exactly what you need. It heats up the cabin, it's all nice and preconditioned by the time you get in. Unfortunately, it has zero effect on the battery. The battery will only precondition if the car is plugged in and if you have a departure time scheduled. Otherwise, there is no way to precondition the battery. So in summary, you're only really driving a GT or a performance electric vehicle as long as the battery is 100% happy. It's kind of like buying a sports car that is restricted to 3,500 RPMs whenever the outside temperature isn't exactly what the engineers had in mind. In Michigan, where I live, unfortunately, that might be 4 to 5 months out of the year. Just to put it into perspective of how much of a letdown this is, the 3.8 second 0 to 60 time in the Mach-E is equivalent to what a 2017 BMW M4 competition is rated at. The 5.7 seconds I was getting, on the other hand, is exactly what a 2016 Honda Accord EXL V6 is rated at. Let's leave the acceleration where it is right now, we'll get back to it at the end of the video, but now let's take a look at that 5-second boost limitation, as Ford calls it. The car is going close to 80 miles an hour. If I accelerate now, you can see how our friends the gray prison bars creep back into the acceleration window. If I let off the accelerator, you can see how they go back, but if I accelerate again, there they are again. Here are my thoughts on the Mach-E overall. The styling is great. I love the space in the interior and also how the car feels. It feels far more connected than driving a Model 3. It's just more of a car than an iPad that happens to have wheels on it. Blue Cruise in its current state as it sits in January of 2021 doesn't even come close to the features that are available in the autopilot system with Tesla. And I'm not only speaking about full self-driving, I'm speaking about the standard autopilot that comes with every car. My hope is that Ford is going to use the over-the-air updates just like Tesla did and improve the car over time as they collect more data. As the car drives right now, I'm not entirely sure I would make the switch again. I'm not happy buying a performance vehicle and not having a performance vehicle for a significant number of days of the year. The range estimate that's given on paper doesn't seem to line up either. I'm currently getting about 167 miles on 100% charge, which is significantly less than the car's advertised with. I understand that the winter conditions are going to have an adverse effect on range, and while Tesla always overestimated the range that you'd be able to go, Ford tends to be really conservative and gives you the feeling that the car really isn't even close to what's on paper. I'm okay waiting for some software updates for things to get better. The Tesla wasn't perfect in the beginning either. However, I think Ford should make it very clear on the website that the 5-second boost restriction exists, and that the car does not precondition unless it's plugged in, or if you want to spontaneously take your car for an unscheduled ride. What do you guys think should happen? Would you buy the Mach-E knowing what you know now? Do you think it's going to change in the future and get better? Let me know if you want any other content on the car. I really enjoyed making this, so subscribe for more Mach-E content, and I'll try to get back with some more interesting things that I notice about the car in the future.